What's up, everybody? Welcome to day number 5. Here today, we're going to be continuing our journey through level 1. We went ahead and got our rating to 1263 yesterday, and now we're solving puzzle rushes up to 30. We learned a lot of things yesterday. And one thing that I learned that you didn't learn is that YouTube only lets me do a certain amount of videos per day. So these videos are actually going to come out on the same day. I don't think anybody's going to notice because nobody's watching these yet. But whenever somebody does, that'll be that was on me. So yeah, so there's Frankie. If you hear the dog in the background, she's cute. I love her. Anyways, yeah, I made a few changes to the way the video looks. If you can tell, let me know what you think. I made a little thing for my little cam here, and I put, instead of doing the tracker per day, like starting off on that spreadsheet, now I have this little box down here. Um, so that way we can kind of always see what we're doing. Now, so these are the goals. 10-minute rating to 1500. 3-minute rating. Actually, that's supposed to be 1200. Let me change that. Sorry, I don't know why that got changed. I think I copied it down and I didn't fix it. Puzzle rush to 30. And this is our progress, as you can see after yesterday. Frankie! Yeah, she's silly. If you didn't hear her, then I just screamed that for nothing. So I can hear her. So if you can't, that'll be kind of funny. Anyways, so what did we learn yesterday? We learned we actually made ourselves a chess tactics checklist, an official one for me that I'm going to use. So if you didn't look at the last episode, you should definitely check it out. So this is going to be the official checklist that we use. Are we in check? Are any of the pieces pinned? Do we have any checks that lead to checkmate? What is the point balance? Does our opponent have any threats? Gauge how important those threats are, and look for captures and threats. So that's going to be what we do every time we want to try to solve a tactic. And we're going to incorporate that into our games as well. Usually out of the opening, we'll continue developing and making logical moves, only moving our pieces once. But once we start getting further into the game, we're going to start looking for these in our games as well. And I'll try to incorporate those. Last thing, we kind of learned a lot over the maybe last 2 or 3 episodes. We learned important information regarding knight c3 in front of the c pawn. So usually, if they leave the c pawn here and they put the knight out in front of it, we learn against the French exchange that often we just go for a quick queenside attack if they castle queenside, and sometimes bringing our dark square bishop out to try to damage their structure could also be a pretty good idea. Against the Queen's Gambit decline setup, we learn that if they decide to keep their bishop trapped behind the structure, then we don't want to go for the idea where bishop goes here. Instead, we try to either push for e4, the e push, or the c push really quickly. I know I'm kind of not showing you that, but if we get that again, I can kind of demonstrate that. But it's good when you go ahead and have a revelation or notes, if you figured out a way to improve in a certain position, take notes, write it down somewhere. I think writing things down helps people remember things. So just take notes about it. And once you play that game, try to recall your notes. Don't use them during the game because that's technically cheating. But after, you know, ask yourself, did you remember your notes okay? And go from there. All right. Enough of me rambling. Let's go ahead and get the party started. Now, last little detail. I added some songs on the YouTube. I couldn't get all of them up there. That's kind of why I hit the daily limit yesterday. But now I got some of them up there. I got the rock sounding ones up there. So if you like rock type music, definitely check it out. You're actually going to see them down here. So I'm going to kind of bounce back and forth here as I go through my video, just to kind of promote my music a little bit and maybe give you guys a chance to check it out. So let me go ahead and get the party started. Okay, and I just gotta fix. I made a lot of different sounding rock songs, so some. Hold on. Okay. I don't know how this is going to turn out. This is the first try at this. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and do our puzzle rush first. Just to play it safe. I don't know how. I didn't test the volume, and I don't want to go back and do this over, so we're just going to roll with this. Hopefully it's the right enough sound. If not, I'll know for next time. Alright, let's get the party started. Puzzle Rush level 30. Alright, let's make sure we got our checklist ready as well. Okay. So the only thing defending that... So first of all, are we in check? No. Are any of our pieces pinned? This knight is pinned to our rook by this bishop. Anything else? Not really. Now, do we have any checks that lead to mate? I see one. So, because the rooks are working together, we have two attackers. They only have one defender of this rook, which is the king. So, we can take that rook, and they have no escape squares, and they can't get rid of the rook, so that's going to be checkmate. Okay. Are we in check? No. Are any of our pieces pinned? Doesn't look like it. Do we have any checks that lead to mate? I see we have rook here. Yeah. Come on. Rook here leads to mate because the king cuts off these squares. And the rook will go ahead and attack and win the game. Oh no! Sorry if that was loud. All my dogs were yelling at once. Alrighty. So, are we in check? No. Do we have any... Are any of our pieces pinned? Not really. Do we have any checks that lead to mate? So, the one that sticks out to my mind is here. Now, they can't block or get rid of our queen. So, they do have one escape square that they have to go to, which is here. And when they do that, I see we have another check bishop f5. And they have no escape squares. They can't get rid of the rook. The only option they have is to block with the pawn. Now, when they do that, we can either take the pawn with the bishop or queen. If we take with the queen, they're going to go this way. And I think he can go this way. And we might not be leading to mate there. It still might be mating, but I see a little more forcing. So let's just do that one more time. Bishop there. King there. Bishop there. Sorry, I'd be going faster, but it's like lagging for some reason. Pawn here. And then I think bishop takes. Because then the only legal move is to go down to here. Then we can hit him with a queen check here, force him back, and then bring the queen over for the mate. They don't show you that because I don't know why. Okay. Are we in check right now? No. Do we have any pins? Are we pinned at all? I don't see it. Alright. Do we have any checks that lead to mate? I see one check. And the pawn cuts off these squares. The rook's in the way here. So yeah, that's checkmate. Okay, are we in check? No. Our pawn is pinned to our king, so that is a detail. But I don't think it matters that much here. Do we have any checks that lead to mate? Yes, queen here would check the king. There's no escape squares, and they can't get rid of our queen or block. So that's going to be the checkmate. Alright, are we in check right now? No. Are any of our pieces pinned? This pawn is currently pinned to our king. That's the only one I see. Do we have any checks that lead to mate? So if we put our queen here, it would check the king. They can't get rid of our queen because the rook would be protecting it. And there's no way to block, so that's going to be the checkmate. Okay, are we in check right now? No. Do we have any pieces pinned? I don't see it. Do we have any checks that lead to mate? Yes, if we capture this queen, the king can't take back because we have our protected by the rook. And that's going to be the checkmate. Alright, are we pinned right now? I don't see any pins in the position right now. We're not in check. Okay, do we have any checks that lead to mate? I see we have this. We put the rook here. It would attack the king. They can't block with any pieces, and they can't move because of this rook. And that's going to be mate. Okay, are we in check? No. Are any of our pieces pinned? I don't see it. Okay. Do we have any checks that lead to mate? If we put our rook here, the king can probably escape down this way. So we want to keep the rook here. The bishop is controlling this square and these squares. So actually, if we put our rook here, it would actually lead to mate because it's protected by the bishop. And the other bishops are working together to make sure he has no escape squares. Okay. Do we have any? Are we in check? No. Do we? Are we being pinned? This pawn is by the bishop. Okay. Do we have any checks that lead to mate? So if we go here, they can't get rid of our rook, so they have to go back to the left. And when we bring the other rook in, to check him again. This pawn's going to make it to where these two pawns are going to make it to where he has no escape squares. So if you imagine this, sorry, here and here, and you got here and here. So, and when the two rooks go like this, the king will have no escape squares. Okay. So, what are we doing? Are we in check? No. I don't see any pins. It looks like a back rank where we kick the king to the left, and then we just checkmate him. So, basically, kick him to the left, and we don't mind sacking the queen because we're gonna win the king. And that's the goal. That's the goal of the game, is to win the king. Are we in check? No. Are there any pins? Well, so it's kind of related to the pin, but if they ever move this bishop, we're gonna be in check. So I don't know if you want to consider this in the pin category. It's definitely something to keep in mind. But we could also save this for number 5. Now, do we have any checks that lead to mate? I see this one does, because they can't take the queen because of our bishop in the corner over here. And yeah, that's mate. Okay. Are we in check? No. Do we have any pins? I don't see them. Alright, so we don't want to trade queen for rook. We would lose 4 points in that position. So do we have any checks that lead to mate? Let's ask that question. I don't see any. I don't see any checks at all, actually. So what is the point balance? 5 pawns for them, 3 pawns for us. So they're up 2 pawns. They're up 2 points right now. If we made this trade 9 for 5, we would be down 6 points, which would be bad. Now, do they have any threats? Yeah, they're threatening to trade off. They're trying to take our queen and be up more points. And they're already up points, which is kind of a threat too. I would say those threats are pretty important. Not, we're going to lose the game now, but we need to do something or else it's over. So, look for captures and threats. So what I'm noticing is we have 3 pieces attacking here. He only has 2. Now, even if we got both rooks there, which is 10 points for 9, he's still going to be up a pawn in that line. And that's still going to be tough for us to overcome. Now, what we can do is consider removing a defender. And we use the point values to really take advantage of this concept. So, if we take the queen, that's 9 points. And they have to do something about that. If they decide to take over here, now we're the ones that are up points. So this kind of forces them to take back. And notice now that the queens are off the board, now we can actually capture the rook. And we're going to win a rook in that line. That seems pretty good. So we're going to go for that. Okay. Are we in check? No. Are there any pins? This pawn is pinned to our king. Do we have any checks that lead to mate? Doesn't seem like it, because we need more than one piece to participate, unless they're like stuck behind their pawns or something. Usually if the king is in the middle like this, It's gonna take a group effort to get him checkmated. What's the point balance? Let's see. They got 5 pawns. We got 6 pawns. These are 3-pointers, 5-pointers. So we're basically up a pawn here. 1 point. We're up 1 point. Does our opponent have any threats? Not really. They can't go knight here because we would take it. They can't go here because we would take the knight. So nothing. We don't. I mean, we're not in any danger at the moment. Now let's look for captures and threats. Now, if you did look through the checks, you might have noticed this rook check. If the king moves, we can take this rook over here. So we're going to be up 5 points there, which is pretty good. I don't really see anything else, so I'm going to go for that. Okay. And it keeps going. So, and this is kind of a silly move because they could have brought their knight here to safety at least, but this traps in their knight because we have to move our king and we can actually attack the knight like this. And now, well, actually they could have took the pawn. Sorry, I don't know what I'm talking about. It's okay. We won the tactic there. Let's just end it there. Alright, are we in check? No. Are any of our pieces pinned? No. Do we have any checks that lead to mate? So, if we think about the ladder checkmate, we would love to go rook here and then queen here to get him to the checkmate. It's never too early to do the ladder checkmate. Even in like the middle of the game, it can happen. So if you're familiar with the ladder, you can basically apply that to any position that you can see it. So here, you go check. He can block with a knight, but I think if we take that knight, he still has to go over anyways. Sorry, my arrows stink today. So check, probably gonna go over to the left or block. If they block, we take, and then once they go over, we're gonna go queen to h3, and that should be the mate. Okay. Alright, we are not in check. None of our pieces are pinned. No checks that lead to mate. I can kind of already tell because we don't have any pieces on the board. Point balance is equal. Does our opponent have any threats? They are threatening to make a queen, and that's pretty important. Other than that, no. Now notice our rook is currently stopping that idea, so the threat level on that is a little lower at the moment. So, I'm looking at pawn here. This would go ahead and check the king and threaten to win the rook. And because... There it is. Yay. I think it's all back now. Cool. Alright. I think we ended up missing a couple here, so I'm sorry about that. Unfortunately, I can't get that back, and I'm not gonna sweat it this time. So, alright. Rook check. Oh wait, sorry, let's go back. Checklist. So, are we in check? No. Actually, let's try to do it without reading. Make sure we got it hammered in here. Are we in check? No. Are any of our pieces pinned? Doesn't look like it. Do we have any checks that lead to mate? Rook check. It looks like their only option is to block with the bishop. And I notice the bishop would be pinned to the king there. So, we can actually go bishop h3, which would threaten to checkmate him on the next turn. And even if they move this pawn, the rook would still checkmate him because of the squares that he's controlling there. So, that seems like a good deal. Okay. Are we in check? No. Do we have any... Are we pinned at all? This bishop is pinned to our queen. So that's kind of important. Okay. Do we have any checks that lead to mate? Well, I see this bishop is cutting off the king here. And if we throw in this knight check over here, white's only option is to take with the pawn, which would open up their king. And then when we bring our queen over like this, but when it's open, that's actually going to be checkmate. I think in that not that one, but the one before, it would have been a good detail to recognize. So when I did bishop h in the corner, we needed to take a moment to recognize our opponent's threats, and I didn't do that there. So that's a learning lesson for the future. Even when we're looking for checks to win, if the moment where we don't have a check to win, we need to look at their threats to make sure they can't counterattack us and win. Alright, are we in check? No. Are any of our pieces pinned? No. Do we have any checks that lead to mate? We have knight here. Because of the bishop controlling this square and the rooks controlling these squares, when I go knight check, he has to go here. And I think when the knight's here and the king's here, I can go rook right here, and that's going to be checkmate. Okay. Are we in check? No. Are any of our pieces pinned? No. Do we have any checks that lead to mate? We have knight here. Now the bishop is controlling all these squares. So when I go knight check, the only option for the king actually can't even... So the knight's going to control these squares, and the bishop's going to control these squares. So that's actually just checkmate. Okay. Are we in check? No. Are any of our pieces pinned? This pawn is to our king by the queen. Do we have any checks that win? Let's see. So if we go knight h3, we're actually going to check him twice. This is actually a very good moment to learn a new tactical theme called a double check. A double check is better than a single check because now your opponent has to get out of both checks at the same time. They can't deal with one and not deal with the other. So, when we do that, they can't take the knight because the bishop's still checking them. And vice versa, they can't take the bishop because our knight's checking them. So that double check forces them to move over to the left, and then we can bring our rook in to checkmate them. A double check is very powerful if you can find it. Okay, are we in check? No. Are any of our pieces pinned? No. I see that queen here is going to be checkmate, so I'm just going to go for that. Okay, are we in check? No. Do we have any checks that will win? Not really, no. None of our pieces are pinned. Kind of did that backwards, I'm sorry. Point balance, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Everything looks equal. Do they have any threats? Maybe to push the pawn and break things open, but it doesn't seem like that's happening, really. That's not really a we're not going to lose next turn type of threat. So, do we have any captures? So what I'm noticing is this queen and bishop and king are all lined up like this. So that's like a little thing to start looking at. And really the only thing holding it together is going to be this bishop. If that bishop goes away, then this whole diagonal comes crashing down. So I'm really considering rook takes. Even though I'm losing 2 points, it's now opening up the idea of bishop here, which would then win the queen. Even if they took the rook, bishop here would still win the queen. So they can't even take the rook. We're just winning 3 points basically, at worst. And the best case scenario is we win the queen too, and just now we're up so many points. Okay. Oh, sorry, I didn't put the count up there. I'm sorry, guys. I thought I was doing that. Yeah, I made this little counter here. So we got 25 so far. 5 more to go. Are we in check right now? No. Do we have any checks in the position? Sorry, false. Are we pinned? Kind of a pin, but it's the same point value, so I don't know if you'll consider that a pin or not. This pawn's kind of pinned to our queen. In the right moment, it could be important. Maybe like hurricanes, we can do categories for the level of threat that we have. I don't, you know, like category 1 would be like it's not really a threat, and then like category 5 would be like you're gonna get wiped out if you don't do anything. I kind of like that. So like this pin is like a category 1. It's like right now it's not a big deal. It's there, it's good to know, but it's not. And same here. Technically it's a pin, but it's still category 1. Maybe threat levels in general in chess can be categories. Actually, I kind of like that. Let me take a moment. I like doing this. Alright, so we have... So, you know how I'm taking notes here? Well, what I'm going to do is go ahead and add a section. Real quick. Insert. 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 Is that enough space? I can just... Okay. Okay. Let's go like right here, I think. And we'll go threat categories. And just so we're not confused, because we're all easily confused, right? Not really. I'm just kidding. That seems kind of hard to see. Alright, that should be fine, right? But that's already blue. Do we have a green thing yet? Current progress. Which, okay. Probably make this green. Green or yellow? Actually, I don't think I see a yellow yet. That's not yellow. Sorry. I inverted like the colors on this, so it's like hard to really tell what color is what on here. Like this is supposed to be yellow, but that's like not even close to yellow. Alright. You know, I'm not gonna select this. Let's just go. Okay, I can do purple. Purple's fine. Okay. So we got 5 categories, right? Low threat. I think 5 might be too many. Because, like, I'm gonna make, like, slightly important. Hold on, let me see. I guess here, then this I can consider this important. Will lead to losing points. Serious points. Might lead to mate. Immediate game lose. Okay, so now we just delete these. Alright, so I think I'll leave it there for now. So level 1 will be like low threat and not really important. Low threat, not really important. 2 will be slightly important, so it's just, I don't, like, maybe I'll just delete 2 and go straight to, so low threat, not important. Let's go, can lead to point loss if careless. And then number 3 will be losing to like, I feel like this is redundant. Point loss or mate if careless. And then, yeah, let's just put this here. So I think for now I'm going to do 4. Alright, I don't like that the box is so big. Wasting all this time on this so silly thing. Sorry, guys. But maybe long term it'll help us out. We'll see. Okay, we got our threat levels. Level 1, not important. Level 4 is immediate game losing. 3 is losing some serious points. 2 can lead the point loss if careless, but okay. So now we can go back to the game. Now that we're here. So, do we have any checks? So, let's go back to the checklist. We're not gonna look though, we're just gonna keep going. So, number 1, are we in check? No. Are there any pieces pinned? We noticed this one. I'm gonna put this as a category 1. This is a category 1 pin. So they're not really important. Even if they weren't there, they wouldn't lead to anything significant. So, will we lose... Oh, sorry. Are there any checks that will lead to mate? No. So what's the point balance? 4 pieces, queen, 2 rooks. Looks like the point balance is equal right now. So, the way you tell is you look at the pawn structures, you see both sides are missing a pawn. And then from there, you look, each side has 4 minor pieces. There are 2 rooks and the queen still. So point balance is equal. Do they have any threats? Not really. Maybe to trade down on f3, but that's not really a threat. And again, we can use our threat categories and say that the level of threat here is a 1. Okay, so do we have any captures and threats? Well, if not this, so I think we have what's called removing the defender. This bishop's currently defended twice. So even if this knight were gone, we would have 2 attackers, they would have 2 defenders, and that wouldn't work out for us. But we have a moment to where we can take one of their attackers. And they would only have 1 defender. And at that moment, we would have 3 attackers. Now, let's go ahead and so if we take here, they have a moment where they can take. But if we take with our queen, our knight would now be protected. And at the end of all that, we would have 3 pieces on the board and they would have 2, so we'd be up 3 points. Now if they take this way, then we can take the bishop and we would win 3 points that way. Good job, everybody. Alright, so are we in check? No. Are any of our pieces pinned? No. Do we have any checks that lead to mate? We got this one. If we do that, he would block. Probably. We can't go here because the rook is protecting. Now we have these checks as well, but so if we go here, he can go here. And maybe now we go queen here to where he can't capture the knight and his only escape square is over here, and we can use the knight to then do a checkmate. I like that. Let's go for it. The other option there is he can go to the right, but then we take queen here and that's going to be checkmate as well. So this is, we do this first, then we go here, and then we got the mate. Okay. Are we in check? Nope. Are any of our pieces pinned? Technically this pawn is pinned. And that's, I would say that's category 4. If they take this, we're basically getting checkmated. So whatever we do, we gotta do fast. And let's see, do we have any checks that lead to mate? We have queen here. Queen here doesn't work. Yep. So queen here and queen here are the 2 threats that could do something. If I go here, then he can probably go this way. If I go this way, I actually think that's just checkmate. He has no escape squares there. Sorry, I only have a few songs up so far, so if it gets repetitive, I'm sorry. after today, I'll have a lot more songs to try to balance out all the stuff. Alright, are we in check? For black? Nope. Do we have any pieces that are pinned? No. Do we have any checks that will win the game for us? We could move the pawn, but I think he just captures this pawn and he's gonna be fine. What's the point balance? He has 3 pawns, we have 2. We are currently up a rook. So we're up 4 points right now. So, let's see. Do they have any threats? So, the only threat is potentially making a queen. Their king is close enough to where it can try to escort one of these pawns. And I would say this threat is maybe like a level 3? 3 or 4. It could... So, do we have any captures that can do anything about it? So, what we don't want to do is let him slip through this way. I think that's the worst case scenario for us. So, I feel like we need to capture now. Now, when we do that, he's probably going to capture back. From there, if we move the pawn now with check, he could probably just go up. Maybe we could just keep checking him back and forth, but we want to look for a win. Takes. What if we go here and attack the pawn? If we get rid of all the pawns, we win the game. That's the goal here. So if we go here, if we go after this guy, he can just start pushing. And that wouldn't be good. Takes. So we probably need to give him the check. So we have an interesting move there. I think I see it. It's a little hard to find. Pawn takes, and I'm looking at rook here. So what I'm thinking is, if he pushes the pawn, we're going to have this check. And either he has to go left, or he has to take the pawn. I mean, he can go underneath, but it seems like he should take the pawn there. Now, if he goes this way, we can actually stop that pawn. And if he goes this way, then the king and pawn are kind of trapped. And that should give me enough time to bring my king in to then... Notice that the king is stuck over here, then it can't get out because of our rook. So... And we can kind of keep him there long enough to get our king into the game and do something. So I think that's our best shot here. Oh, wow. Oh, you know what it was? I bet you, if we pushed the pawn up twice with check, maybe we could have took the pawn and then promoted. Okay. Well, we got one wrong. Ah. Oh, well. Let's see. Are we in check right now? No. Do we have any pins? Not really. Okay. Do we have any checks that lead to mate? I see the check that sticks out to me is bishop here, because this bishop's currently cutting off all these squares. So if we get this one in the party, His only move is going to be to block with the rook. Now we could win points in that line. Maybe. But let's try to look for mate first. So if he goes here, I see we then have queen g5. And his only move is going to be to move to the right. And then we're going to have queen here. And that's actually going to be checkmate because he can't come out this way or this way because of our bishop. And our queen's going to be cutting off the rest of his squares. So we go here. We go here. And we go here. Okay. Last puzzle. Are we in check? No. Are there any pins in the position? Not really. I'm not pinned. Let's be more specific. We're only looking for my pins. We're not looking at theirs since step 2. Step 3, are there any checks that lead to mate? I see bishop here. And they can't do any... The queen's blocking all the escape squares, so that's actually just going to be checkmate. And we did it. Good job, everybody. That one was a little rougher today, again. Mostly because the thing crashed. Now we're going to go ahead and play some games. And let me go ahead and give this a rest for a little while. Even I'm sick of hearing the same songs over and over. So we're just going to go ahead and start playing some games. All right, and so we're at 1263 today, so if we're lucky, 1253. Okay. So let me change that real quick. All right, looks like we're getting the French reverse. Let's see what they're going to do. They're pushing the pawn. Okay, we go ahead, get the advanced variation. Okay, they're going for this. Okay, we're just going to develop normally, I think. And I think here... Takes. Okay, so now that we're up a tempo, it's kind of important because normally it's their move and they'll bring the bishop out or something. But since it's our turn again, I think we're going to go ahead and take this now. And we're going to play knight here and try to get it there. If he goes bishop here in that line, then... Okay, so now he's going to go bishop here. The question is... I think we're going to have bishop here if he tries that. And I feel like no matter how he blocks, it's going to make it to where we can win this pawn. Exactly. So now we got to think about what we want to take with. Takes probably this one, because this one, we want to keep this one around to put more pressure on the center later. So let's take this way. Okay. Now I can take this, which would go ahead and remove a defender, allowing me to win a pawn. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And if he takes with the queen, we're actually going to get another tempo here. So now we're up 2 pawns. We are threatening this, which would, because of the pin, I would say that for him, this is probably a level 3, or, yeah, level 3 pin. Okay, this actually doesn't stop this idea, so we're going to go for it. Now, we want to go for the way that forces the most pieces off the board. If I take here, he takes here, take here, check. He has to do something about it, probably here. Now, let's keep our queen safe. We don't need to give it up. Now, a funny little idea would be here, but no. Let's go here. Let's keep everything nice and defended here. Yeah, I think this is probably category 3. Because he's probably losing... I think he's losing everything here. Because when we play pawn takes, this diagonal's like gonna be huge. But I think we go here next, and now he's losing a queen, and this is just snowballing for him really fast, yeah. So, in the advanced variation, usually we're a tempo behind there. And normally they can get their bishop out, like, say if I waste a turn, right? They go here, and then we get here, and then they probably bring their bishop out next. So, here, we're now up a tempo. And the whole goal is to break down this structure. So, once you have these guys out, you're pretty much always ready to take. And then start getting your knight here to gang up against him. Now he could try a move like this, and if you go there, he'll try to take it. And we can't go here because if we keep taking, they'll have bishop b4 check, and we would lose our queen in that line. So we would have to start with this move order. And this is kind of what you would see in the other French advance. Now, I'm not going to go too in deep here. We'll wait till the actual game of when we get there. But I think because we were up a tempo in that line, it just gave us way better options to break down that center. Maybe we'll get it now. French, come on, push it. No, he said okay. So I like how sometimes. All right, we've seen this. Now, I think we're going to start here first to see what he does with the bishop. And he stops that. See, that's actually pretty good prophylaxis there for him. Now, I'm going to go ahead and go here. And remember, we're not bringing this bishop out. We're going to castle, and then we're just going to attack him on the queen side, potentially. Only if he castles queens. Now, we're playing these moves normally anyways. So, he's playing a lot of slow moves here. Like h3s and a3s. And the reason why is he wants to castle queenside, but he also wants to prevent all our ideas. The problem is you can't get everything you want. We're going to keep making useful moves. And we're just going to wait to see where he goes. And once he finally declares his queenside castle, then that's when we go ahead and strike. So here we have a moment to make our bishop a little better, so we're going to do it. I'm just waiting to see what happens. Okay. So with that move there, it tells me he's probably going to castle queenside if he has to. So I'm now going to declare my intentions. Okay, I'm going to go knight here. If he wants to take, he has to take with the bishop. Now we're attacking the queen. Oh, sorry, I miscounted. We actually lost a pawn there. Okay, so now we are down a pawn. Good to know. Alright, now what are we going to do? Well, our bishop's attacked. We're down a point. We want to keep pieces on the board and make it as complicated as possible here. So, let's go ahead. Let's bring this all the way back here. We're going to defend our king side a little bit. Okay. Now I'm going to try to set this bishop up on this diagonal. It seems like it could be really useful there. Can't go knight here. I mean, maybe he could. So So now if I go here, can he push? He can, but then I can go here and kick his knight out. So we're going to go for that. See, his initial thought was he could push the pawn, but I think he missed the fact that we can actually kick the knight in that line. And so now I think we're winning the pawn back here. Okay, so we go here now. Now we're threatening to win the knight. I don't think they have any knight move that really hurts us here. Maybe here. But I think we can capture back eventually with the queen and save everything. All right, now we're winning a knight. Now we're up 3 points. And he's got to move the queen. Okay. So now what do we do? I can go queen here, attacking the queen and the knight at the same time, but he has knight here. So that might be bad. We don't want to allow knight here forking us, so we need to... I think that's definitely something we need to address. Maybe I go rook here. Get text that. No. Alright. Bishop takes. Knight here. So if I go knight here, and he goes knight here, I might have bishop here, which attacks the queen and the knight. And I think we could actually save our position there. Okay. And I'm guessing he saw that. Well, now I'm going to kick the knight out. It's kind of... And what's funny is that's really like the only option he has now. And now we just go for this and win the knight. And don't get distracted by the rook in the corner there. I mean, maybe you could, but we're also... It would maybe be a trade, but to keep things simple, we're just going to take this knight. Because even if it doesn't... We're winning 6 points, and I feel like that's going to be enough. Okay. Let's take with the queen, which then connects our rooks. Okay, I'm going to take this way, and then I'm going to go ahead and capture with the bishop. Just try to keep my... The reason I took this way is now my queen has extra vision on my king side. That way, if anything goes wrong, you know, I have it covered. And I'm up so many points that I was more focused on making sure I don't get checkmated, because then I have complete control over the game. And I feel like that's where I'm at right now. I have enough control now where I feel like we're just going to win. And now I think we can win this rook safely, taking one more threat off the board. And even if he goes rook here, I don't even have to move. I'm probably going to go knight here next, chop off that bishop, and probably going to be winning this game pretty shortly. And he resigns. GG. He actually played that really well. We actually messed up in the opening a little bit. So, this So here we actually think I think we actually lost this knight because there's nowhere it can go safely. I blundered that. So why did that blunder occur is the question. Well, they have 3 attackers. We only have 2 defenders. So it's probably the knight move. So maybe instead I go here. Probably doing the same thing. Now I need to make a useful move to kind of see what happens next. Maybe I play there. I guess because even if he castles kingside, I think this is, regardless, this is still going to be a good operation for us. So yeah, I'm probably going to, yeah, so going forward in these knight c3 lines, I'm always going to expand on the queen side. And if they try to like play flexible and wait to castle, we get our knight, bishop, rook out, we play c6, and then we go for the queen side expansion. We don't move these pieces until we know where they're going. Because now if they start going here, we haven't committed our knight there yet. We can probably keep going here. If they keep going, now we can just drop back here. And at least we have a lot of chaos. So, and if you want to be really, if it, we could try this, but I think pawn takes, we're losing a rook in that line. Maybe not. Let's see. It's a really interesting line. Pawn takes, rook takes, pawn takes. Yeah, that's not good. We can also consider making a move like queen e7 here. Or queen c7. Actually, I like queen c7 better. Maybe. No, I don't like queen c7. Sorry. The whole point of queen e7 is we can go ahead and support this move in the future. So if we go for this, right? And now he goes here. We have this. Now we have enough defenders on this square. So that's actually the move. Alright, so backing up. Basically, these are the moves we always want to play against knight c3. And let me go to my opening notes here. We can add a little, we can add some rows here. But if they play flexibly and don't castle, we develop knight f6, bishop e7, c6, and queen e7. To support knight e4. Oh, that's kind of weird. Okay, boom. There we go. I don't care if it's not a line, I'll fix that later. But now we got that extra note added into our opening, so now we're ready to move on. Let's see. So in our actual game, we did lose the knight. Now, if you're gonna lose, it's better to lose it's better to lose a pawn than a knight. So here we lost the pawn, and we kept playing on. We saved our piece. Now I recognize how many pieces he had lined up here. So my strategy next was to try to take advantage. And I noticed also if he pushed, we can kick the knight out. So putting all those dots together really paid off. We ended up winning lots of material there. So what could they have done better? So I feel like in this moment they needed a castle. For sure. So here's what they need to do. They need a castle. Like, don't even worry about this pawn. Or pushing here. They need a castle. And they definitely need to plug up this diagonal. So a move like this would be really good. Because now I can never push this pawn. My bishop's being attacked. If I take, this bishop's going to be trapped forever. And that would have been bad. But instead, they let me open up that diagonal. And things got really hairy really fast for them. Alright, GG. That was a good game by him. The opening, he played pretty well, but I think he just needed to event. Like, he just never castled. And which was good at first, but eventually you need to know when to castle, even if you do delay it, because sometimes that would really help your position out a lot. Bringing your other rook, like especially in his case, bringing the rook into the party. Now, we're playing the advanced variation, but he's playing it in a way where his pawn is not supported. Okay, I'm gonna go this. I'm gonna try to go this way. Actually, I have a kind of a plan. So we're gonna go here. Now we got this move, which, yeah, we moved the knight twice, but they're also gonna have to move their bishop twice. And now we have 3 pieces attacking the pawn. They only have 2, so now we can actually win the pawn. Now their center is completely uncontested. Now I could start trading, but I'm going to bring my bishop in and castle first. That way I don't have to deal with their bishop and my queen being lined up together. Because now I'm threatening to take and then take and damage their structure a little bit. Long term, that might end up being enough. Being up a pawn and their damage structure could be enough to win the game, I think. Maybe not, but it's possible. Okay. So now let's see what they're going to do. I'm going to go here. I don't want, so now we won't get to damage the structure. I'm going to take with the queen. Oh, that's actually kind of good, because I can't take this, but we're going to damage the structure anyways. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and castle. I did see knight here, but I thought, let's just castle first and get our king safe. I feel like then we have more control over what's happening. Okay, he stopped it, which is probably what he should have done. We could try to go for this. I kind of like that approach. Look for pawn breaks. I could have gone here and here, but I feel like this is a very solid structure for us, so I don't want to mess with that. Should I go here or just push straight away? I think we'll go here straight away, before he has a chance to play a3. Now if I take, it's going to isolate his pawns a little bit. I mean, we have an isolated pawn too, so it's not... I might not even... Maybe I should have played a5 right away. Oh well. Okay. I feel like long term, this pawn's going to be bad, and fixing these pawns on light squares will make this bishop bad long term. So I think we're going to actually just push and close that down. And now if we get our bishop here, it's going to be really good. Now, just to restrict him further, I'm probably going to make a move like h6, just to make sure that knight can't get over here. Even if it doesn't really... I don't need to do that. No, I'm not doing it. We're just going to bring our bishop into the game, line him up on a nice diagonal here. Okay, he got his queen there. Does that do anything? Now I can kick the queen if I want to, and I think I will, which gives my king a little escape square in the future, if it needs it. We don't know if we need it or not, but... Okay, I don't want to allow him to get his bishop here. I go here, he can go here. I could try to go for... No, that doesn't work. Well, let's go ahead and bring another pawn into the game. Just bolster up our... Okay, now he is threatening to go there, but the problem with that is I'm going to have knight here. But what I'm going to do first, I'm just going to go here. If this pawn ever moves, we'll attack the pawn. And if he plays bishop here, I think we're going to go knight here, which threatens the queen, the bishop, and... Whoa. I mean, I can't take it because it's pinned. But knight here, I think... He has to do something about his queen, and then we're going to win that rook, I think. Let's look at it. Here, where does he move? Let's say if he goes here, for example. He would take... I would take, he would take. So our king's kind of exposed there. But I don't think he has any checks to do anything with it. So I think we're going to go for that. It looks a little scary, but I'm seeing that in the end line. Okay, he's going this way. Now... Takes, queen takes. And then... Maybe I go queen here. Threat checkmate. In fact, I could do that. No, I can't, because the knight. That doesn't threaten checkmate. We do have an extra move here, which is pawn here. Okay. We got to consider that move, because it's threatening to win the queen again. He can't go here. Honestly, he probably has to go here. But then we can't win the rook. And if we go like this, maybe that's bad. Okay. I think we're going for this. Now, we don't want to... I think I really... No, I don't. I would like knight there, but he can take. So, I think knight here. If knight takes, pawn takes, queen takes, check. We can bring our queen to block. And if he takes this guy, we'll just move over, and we end up being up 3 points there. And I think long term that's going to be good for us. Anything else we could do? Well, any other moves probably lose. So I'm going to go here. We need to prioritize defense for a little bit. Make sure we don't get checkmated. Now we go here. And he's going to win another pawn, but we go here. Now maybe we can play rook here, and we might be able to win a bishop. If he wants to trade rooks, I will definitely take him up on that. When you're up, you don't want to trade. Now notice his king is kind of stuck behind his pawn. So if we might have one of those kick the king to the left and checkmate him moments. This is how you apply your tactics. your themes. Okay. All right. What are they gonna do? What are they gonna do? Okay. Now, I feel like I want to either force a queen trade or just get this queen out of here. So I'm gonna go here. I don't want him coming down here and trying to win my pawns or anything. Can't go here. So pretty much just has to go here if he wants to escape, or here. And now I have this. The whole kick the king to the left and checkmate him. So he kind of had to trade queens there. Honestly, I didn't even well, I didn't think of that part until I kind of just noticed that after I played it. Sometimes that happens. I mean, your initial idea was still good, but then you found something better while looking at it a little deeper. Ideally, you want to see it beforehand, but sometimes it's a little easier to see it when it's actually on the board. Yeah, now it's forced mate 2. Because king has to go to the left, we're going to take the rook with check, they block with the bishop, and then we mate them. GG. That was a good game. I think he put up pretty good resistance there. Let's see. Problem is his opening left him with some weaknesses, and he moved the piece twice, which was kind of bad, which allowed me to take advantage with knight here and win a pawn. And then here, I mean, if he takes, he should probably continue trading down. I mean, otherwise, I'm guessing he thought I might go for that pawn, which it was a little tricky, I guess, but I just decided to trade down and castle. And then just start expanding on the queen side. I ended up closing it down, and then giving my bishop control over the position. And I mean, this was creative with the pin, but it didn't really do much. I mean, maybe he could win a pawn, but there's no way for him to break through there. And actually, it led to a scenario where I can kick the queen out and win that rook. And I saw here, even though I'm giving back 2 pawns, I just end up with much more control over the position. Now, in this last moment, I was a little nervous about queen here, and maybe he can start taking my pawns. So I decided queen here would prevent all that, and either he has to trade queens or go this way. I actually didn't consider until after he moved that I have queen here, which would have been checkmate. So I did get a little lucky that the tactic was there, but also I think when you play good moves, you end up you end up creating your own luck. Like, it's kind of lucky that the tactic worked out, but at the same time, all the good moves I played kind of built up that moment. All right, GG. We're at 1278. Let's continue. Let's keep going. This will be the last one for today. Do our setup. You'll probably end up getting the most abortions from on the white side because they don't really like E3 is not a very common way of starting the game, which is another reason why I like it. I feel like it really, it'll catch them off guard. I mean, it's not anything special. Like right now, we're in the French exchange. And it's a basic position. Develop knight, bishop. Okay, I don't like this move because we play a move we want, and he ends up moving the bishop twice, which just gives us an extra move, basically. Okay. Now I can bring the bishop out, but he might have knight here. I can go bishop there, pawn there. I could play this move, which stops bishop here, and then prepare. I kind of like that better. We stop him from getting his bishop in the game, because our bishop is controlling this square, and we have this square. So, sorry, my nose was itchy. Bishop here. Now we can go bishop here, and if he goes knight here, we have an escape square, and now we're stopping the bishop from coming here. Oh, sorry, allergies. All right. Just calm, developing moves, just getting our pieces in the game. Nothing major yet. Besides wasting time, I mean, he's still doing okay. Okay, he's pushing that pawn. Do I want to allow him to go there and maybe break up my structure? If I take, that would be awkward, so... Well... Do I have anything I can do instead? So let's see, if I go here, or here, he goes there. Okay, so I am going to go ahead and just stop that idea. Okay, if I take this guy, then this pawn's going to be isolated from other pawns, and that's going to make him easier to win in the long run. And, funnily enough, he's going to have to move the bishop again. So, I think I'm going to capture. Okay. Next, what do we do? Now, ideally, we want to make it to where this pawn doesn't get traded off like this. So, I actually see a clever idea we could do. So, we can develop normally a move we already know we want to play. If he pushes, we can actually wrap the knight to b3, which would attack the bishop and the pawn at the same time. And we would basically either win the piece, or we'd be in time to where we can take back and keep a knight posted right here, winning a pawn. So, I kind of like that. And if he doesn't push, we have the same idea anyways. Except for now we have a knight planted here, which could be really good for us. Yeah, I would say the big downside for him in this game is he's moved this bishop too many times. And now he has a weak pawn structure on top of that. And if we're able to take advantage of those two things, that's probably going to be what wins us the game. All right. So now I'm going to go here. And I'm probably not going to take. Okay, he moves anyway, so we can't. Bishop here, just for a second. You could just move the rook out of the way. I don't know what else that does. So I think we're going to go ahead and get my knight over here. Now, he has knight here and then maybe here. So, I could hold off on this. That way, if he plays knight here, I can just take that. So what do I do instead? bishop here also. Makes it to where he can't even play that move. Actually, hold on. So, like, let's say I go rook here. He goes knight here. No. Okay, I can't go bishop there anymore because of the queen. So if I go, bishop has to be first. Okay. And then... Okay, I'm going to start with rook here. It stops knight here right away. If he goes here, I can take it. And what's interesting is... Okay. Takes, takes, takes. We're up a pawn. Maybe he has knight there. But we can force a queen trade. I don't know what that does. Let's see. Takes, takes. We also have this. But he can throw this in first. Okay. Well, he is threatening this. So I think we're taking regardless. Probably knight here. No, he's going there. So what are we gonna do? Probably just we can go back. Can't go here because he could take it with the bishop. Um, maybe I can consider here and here, but then that disconnects my queen and knight, and he could take. So yeah, we're going all the way back. So now we're up a pawn. But we did allow a lot of his pieces to get in the game, so that's... It was probably a good decision by him to go for this, just to have the most chances. So, most likely, we're going to want to bring this knight over like this. Queen here, bring this rook in. We're underdeveloped right now. They have more pieces than we do in the game, so we need to fix that. So we need to get this knight into the game. I don't want to do this now because he'll damage my structure. So my plan is knight here, queen here, and rook here. Okay. So he could take. We could trade queens. Actually, here's what I'm thinking. Queen trade, right? And if he takes, I can go here. But he can damage my structure at the same time. I was thinking I could damage his, but he's going to damage mine first. So if I go for this, I would probably want to go for this next and then this. But that gives him time to stop it. So I'm just going to go here straight away. My initial plan of just going. Now he has knight here. So now I can go queen here and attack it. Let's see. Queen takes. No, we want knight takes. That way he can't damage our structure. So he does have some knight moves. If he goes here, I just have to save my bishop. Yep. So the question is, do I go all the way back? And I don't think so. I think I want to just drop it back one to give my king an escape square. If this pawn moves, this square would fork the queen and rook. Because he might be tempted to try to, like... Okay, so that... I can win another pawn here. And this pawn could break open my structure. Now, I don't see anything wrong with it, so I'm going to just do it. Okay, but I don't think that does it. Alright, but now there's some thought. So I can go knight here, and no, he can take with the knight. Never mind. Let's just go back. Now we're up 2 pawns, and all of our pieces are the only other piece not in the game is the rook, but we have enough. Their rook is also not really in the game, so it's about, and this one's not in the game either. So I would say development wise, we're maybe even a little better, but it's still. Now he can't go rook here because I can take it with my bishop. Um, so I'm probably thinking of queen here and bringing the rook into the game next. Okay, he's going after this. Okay, so my idea kind of just will. That kind of makes sense to go for my idea there. Guards the pawn technically, but even if it did, I don't mind. Well, I do kind of mind losing a pawn here. Okay, bishop here. Can I go here? The pawn's gonna be weak if I do. Okay, so I'm just gonna bring my other rook into the game. Also, he can't really get rid of my knight with any pawn or anything, so the fact that my queen and knight, the fact that my queen's on the same row, I'm not as concerned. I mean, I'm still thinking about it, making sure it's not gonna lose anything, but I know as long as I keep my knight there, we should be able to survive. Now we're down on the clock a little bit, so that's one area we can actually lose this game. So a lot of our moves are going to be quicker here. So what are we going to do next? I might just move my queen here and start pushing this guy. Because none of his pieces are undefended right now. So really my only source of play at the moment is going to be pushing these guys. Now if I go here, like I'd love to go here and he take. Because then I just have 2 pawns that are open and can run down the board. But again, I'd, prob I'd probably want to take, but then I would lose a defender here. So actually, no, we're not doing that. So right there. I'm just gonna duck my queen out of the way. That way I can move my knight if I want to. I can also, yeah, just consider moving the knight and force some trades a little bit. Bishop here, maybe he has this if I move the knight. So that's an important detail. But if he sacks the rook, I take with the rook, and that doesn't work. I can go here and force the trade of knights. I'm going to do that, actually. Just to get one piece off the board and get us a step closer to winning the game. Now, it might give him a little more encouragement to sack the piece there, but he didn't fall for it. Okay, so we're going to go... Yeah, we're just going to chop it off. Okay. Now, I have a moment where I could consider going here and here, but my knight would be undefended. Maybe I could go here. It looks like it could lead to checkmate. I could go knight back and just try to force more trades. I kind of like that approach. So let's do that. Try to get less pieces in the game. Okay, so he goes there. Now he is threatening this. Now I'm going to go here and do that threat that I saw earlier with the checkmate. And we're also threatening to win the bishop. Okay, he stopped one, but he didn't stop the checkmate. So that's actually just going to be GG. So I think at the end there he was playing a lot better than the opening. Like, he wasted way too many moves on that bishop. And I think the extra time we got allowed our pieces to get in the game. Then he gave up a pawn, which was probably right, because now he had a lot more activity than we did. But I think our extra... And then, like, here he was probably fine still. But then he gave up when he gave up the second pawn, it was basically over. Because this, like, this idea was basically his last chance at breaking things open and making something happen, maybe. But he rushed it, and I was able to stop that. And now it's just over. And it's important to not let your opponent back in the game. Even here, if we make a careless move, bishop here could win a rook, and they're back in the game. We could have played this, but I wanted to make sure this was still secure. And I know he couldn't do that because of our knight. He can't sack because we would just take with the rook. So he's kind of in a spot where he doesn't really have any real threats. Like, this is probably like a category 2, where it could be something if we're careless. But as long as we are playing good moves, we don't have to worry about it. So, and I couldn't really figure out a way to continue, so, but I know I'm up in material, so I just went for trades, basically. And that led to this situation where we're threatening to win the bishop. And he probably should have just went back. Oh, he can't. I didn't fully appreciate this move in the game. So, like, this felt like a good move just because I'm attacking the bishop and I'm going for the mate, but I'm also threatening to win the rook at the same time. I didn't even consider winning the rook there. So if he tries to save the bishop, he's getting checkmated anyways. So this is actually just mate. There's no... He has to give up the bishop. That's his only chance. He just has to go rook back, or... Yeah, rook back. He can't go rook here, because again, we're threatening this. So this lost the bishop by force. That's his best scenario, which is not good. Yeah, I think I think the key for him and the lesson, what really is moving your pieces more than once. Every piece we moved was only moved once. Now, this move was a good insert. Thinking about the bishop's already here, so we don't really want the bishop. We only want the bishop here if we can kind of make it uncomfortable for him with a pin. So I was already leaning towards this, but I didn't want him to try to trade off my bishop. And then, so I considered h3, and I also noticed it stops my opponent's idea of putting the bishop there. So, and he already wasted time with this, so it kind of gave me time to make a move that would work out. You know, like if we replay the position a little bit. So if I go here and he just goes here straight away, we castle. I might do the same thing, but at least he didn't waste all that time with the bishop. And now maybe now he can play c5, or if he wants to kind of break things open quickly and go for that isolated structure, at least here he didn't waste all the time that he did before. And then if I don't play that move, I mean, I'd probably still play that move anyways, just to kind of shut him down. But actually, in this moment, he can do the same thing. Maybe even back then, in the actual game, he could have considered doing it here as well. But no, I'm sorry, that doesn't work. I'm sorry. I don't know why I'm thinking this was stopping us, but we just get our bishop here. The difference is we can get our bishop here and they can't. So maybe the whole problem with them is the fact that they... So that's kind of the whole problem with bishop here, is it lets us get bishop here and potentially even stop this. So like when you see this move, maybe you just start here and then we go here. We don't even need to castle yet because... And this stops this bishop and gets our bishop in the game. Now, they could go for this. We don't mind taking because they already took once. We would probably castle, and I would say we have a pretty good position there. So in the exchange variation, if the bishop is on e7 or e2, because we see this on both sides. Let me so let's go. Let's go here. French exchange. Knight f6. No. Bishop e2. So now we just delete all this. And I go, all right, so bishop e2 before bishop g4. That's an important insert because like if we go here, for example, then you could probably still do it, but he hasn't played bishop here yet, so he might have some checks. So like when this file is open, we probably always want to castle. And then if he goes here, now we can consider this is probably the best approach for him. If he wants to go bishop 2, he needs to get the bishop out first. So that way, because if he does it the other way around, then we actually get a moment. So we played this, and they played this. And basically now this shuts down their bishop. And before they can stop us, I mean, maybe we can castle. And if they... No, I don't like that. I think I prefer going bishop first there. Now they could try to go back like this. Here we would probably have to take. And then castle. So that's possible. Okay, so we focus on shutting out their light bishop with h3 or h6, and then bishop f4 or bishop f5. And then where do we go from there? Well, it kind of just depends on what our opponent does. But I think, like, we're kind of going to build up in the center and eventually probably put our knight here and just slowly build up from there. If we get it, we're probably going to see this a lot, so in later games I can kind of, but I think this is good for now. Um, let me do that. Text. All right, let's make it smaller so it can fit. There we go. Oh, we don't need it underlined. Or attention. Okay. Focus on shutting out the light square bishop with h3 or h6. I'll underline that part. And then bishop f4 or bishop f5. Okay. And every time we gain a little knowledge in the opening, and we write that down, we take a little note, and in the future now, we're going to be more observant of when they do that. Hey, look, they played bishop e2 before bishop g4. Hey, so now we know we shut that light square bishop down, and we get our bishop out to where we can use that escape square if we need to. GG. Actually, I just realized, like, okay, so here, we go here, right? And we go there. And let's say the castle. Now, if we get our bishop out and they decide to go back like this, we might not even need to trade. We might have this move. Okay, it hates that move. So let's take a quick engine look just to make sure. Sometimes it's good just to have the engine confirm we're not doing something completely horrible here. So yeah, this one was bad. Let's go. So if they go this right away. See, top move is h3. Exactly. We want to shut down that bishop while we can. Especially, and the problem with this is it doesn't prevent our bishop coming here. See, we're preventing the bishop from coming to either square, and they're not. So now we're going to get this bishop there on the next turn. So when they castle, you can go bishop here. It hates that, actually. So that's why it's good to look at this on the engine. So castle first. So the question is, why does it hate this right away? Knight c6. Knight here. So we end up wasting time with our bishop, and our king's still stuck in the center. Okay. So, let's erase this. Then we castle. Now, the notation, chess notation for writing when you castle, if you go kingside, it's a 0-0. If it's queenside, it's 3 zeros. So I'm going to start writing that down like that, just to make it easier to know king side versus queen side. So here we castle, and let's see, maybe they just go back. If they go here, we probably put our bishop here. Now, the important question is if we get kicked. Okay, that's actually a good detail. So they can't actually take us here. Or they can't kick us here because we can sacrifice our knight. And if the trades continue, let's say they make this move. Knight, it likes knight c3. Taking advantage of the pin to put pressure on that pawn. Now we go queen f3. Okay. We're not. We are threatening queen here, and then that could be trouble for him. But not really, because this knight, even though it's pinned, it still guards it technically. Let's see. And even if... So this is an idea we can actually kind of... Okay, so... Bishop h4. Now, if they kick us, this is also playable if we don't want to sacrifice. And we end up damaging our structure, but we get our rook in the game, and their pawn structure is ruined. So we actually don't mind that scenario. So... if bishop d6, we go bishop g5. What? Bishop d6 slash bishop d3, because it can happen on both sides. We go bishop g5 slash bishop d4. And if our bishop gets kicked, we can sack the knight or go all the way back and open our rook. All right. Cool. So now we have a little more insight on the French exchange. And notice now we have two little insights. We got the knight c3 in front of the pawn and the French exchange. And these little insights into the exchange long term will make it easier for us to play. Because now we'll be like, bishop e2, I know what to do. All right, well, that's going to wrap up these videos for today. This video for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel. Check out some of the songs if you like them. I'm posting some more today. Some of them are more rock, and then a lot of other ones are going to be more electric. So if you like more electronic type songs, maybe that might suit your vibe. I don't know. Anyways, we made it to 1288. Let's go ahead and update the tracker before we go. All right, thanks guys for watching. See you later.